The New York Jets tried something very revolutionary. They took a talented quarterback from another team who had not quite lived up to expectations. Some of it, a lot of it, on his former teammates, coaching staffs, offensive lines, all that. Some of it on the player. And they said, but guess what? We're going to actually, instead of taking Justin Fields and leaning into just his legs and throwing dump offs in the flat and trying to score 20 points and slug it out for a guaranteed 7-10 ceiling, they said, we are going to let Justin Fields play quarterback for better or for worse. And the whole time we were talking about Justin Fields in the offseason, I believe that's what the Jets should do, right? Because we've seen the ceiling of we're going to put training wheels on Justin Fields and have him run around a bit and hit dump offs and not throw over the middle of the field and not go through multiple reads and risk turnovers or whatever the case may be. We saw that ceiling even in his 6-game stint in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they were 4-2 because they had a top 3 defense, but they were scoring 18, 19 points a game. And I love that the New York Jets clearly, and Aaron Glenn said as much when they signed him, that they're going to let him play quarterback and they're going to deal with some of the bumps that go along the way, because part of the reason you signed Justin Fields is that there is a non-0% chance he could be the long-term guy. There's a non-0% chance. And this whole thing we're talking about quarterbacks, and the Jets are facing their former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, which, look, man, it's a 1-game sample size. We don't need to talk about last year. Aaron Rodgers played well. Justin Fields played well. Justin Fields is 16 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. That's it. So if you think yesterday was a referendum on the Jets quarterback decision, you're out of your gourd, man. No. But it was about, should they keep Aaron, get rid of him? Did anyone ever consider that maybe the Jets had their eyes on Justin Fields for a minute? You think that they just were talking about, should we keep the quarterback we have or not, for 3 months without discussing who was available? Do you think that teams don't legally tamper? Let's please be serious for a moment. I still had people telling me that it was a coincidence that Nathaniel Martini Hackett and Alan Lazard were New York Jets before Aaron Rodgers. Real humans were telling me this. No. People talk, right? And it was reported way early that the Jets were in on Justin Fields. Jay Glazer was in on that for a while. So it's not just about getting rid of a guy. Maybe the Jets saw an opportunity. Maybe that could be our mindset for once as a fan base. Why does everything have to be like we're getting rid of, we're losing? Oh my gosh. As if anything we've ever lost ever got us anything to begin with. Maybe their mindset was, hey, we see some potential in Justin Fields. We don't like this quarterback class. This is going to be the medium risk, potentially high reward shot that we take with Justin Fields. And what you see before you is the spray chart per next gen stats. And it is a thing of beauty. This is what the kids on TikTok call ethical hooping. This is ethical hoops right here. This is not, every 3 yards, a dot nonsense. Like a couple of those Tua Tagovailoa games he hung on the Jets last year. It's a real football, man. And look at this thing. Look at what's beautiful about this. Okay. Let's look at, so besides dump offs, let's look at passes at least 5 yards, at least, 5 air yards over the middle of the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for 7 on 5 to 20 yards in the intermediate part of the field. I mean, hell yeah. And the incompletion, so he had one that was batted down. Oh, dude, I rewatched the offense. I'm almost done rewatching the defense. And then I'm gonna do my stock up, stock down tomorrow when I finish watching the defense. But dude, even on offense, there was some more stuff we could have had, man. And we still scored 32 points. You're talking about a couple of missed 2-point conversions. Okay. And then there was a play where the ball got batted and a Steelers defensive lineman almost got the interception. Garrett Wilson Oh man, Garrett Wilson was wide open. They did a play action. They brought him on a shallow cross. Two Steeler defenders ran into each other, and Fields sees him. And the Cam Hayward savvy vet gets his hand, that big hand up and knocks it down. Otherwise, Garrett Wilson might still be running, man. It was a beautifully designed play by Tanner Engstrom. But I digress. So a couple of these incompletions. I know that there's the one that was batted down. That's right there. There's the two pass defenses by Jalen Ramsey on the left side that were on the last drive. And then there was another pass batted down where he just was getting a lot of pressure and just tried to throw it, and it was almost a fumble. So out of so that's 4 of his 6 incompletions. I don't remember what this one over here. I think this might have been another one that was batted down. He tried to swing it out to Brees. I mean, did he make a bad throw? Did he make a bad throw? And I don't think he made a bad throw. There was a couple of decisions in terms of, I actually don't, as a runner, I think, he'd tell you there was some meat left on the bone in terms of hand it off or keep it on the first drive. On the play, there was a 2nd and 9 from the 20. He hands it off to Brees. If he would have pulled it, he had the angle. He would have walked in for a touchdown on the first drive, and he knew it. You see him hand it off to Brees, and you see TJ Watt crash down, and you see Fields jump and has his hands on his helmet because he knew he had a gimme touchdown. So you're talking there was 40, 45 points out there for this Jets offense, man. And he played really well. Now, again, I don't do it again. 16. Oh, it's only 16 completions. Yards. Yeah, remember last year we threw for as many yards as Josh Allen. You scored less points than Andy Dalton. Enough. We don't do that anymore. We talk about things that actually measure quarterback efficiency. Let's get into some of those and my 5 positive takeaways for this game, and starting with Justin Fields. Okay, EPA plus 13.7 in this game. That is the highest by a Jets quarterback since, how about this, Zach Wilson versus the Houston Texans in 2023. All right. Completion percentage over expected was the highest since Geno Smith versus the Raiders in 2014. I mean, there's some other, like all of these stats that if you say some of these nerd stats don't matter, that's okay. Well, then go look at who is at the top every year. And it's like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So, and then who's going to be at the bottom, and it's going to be like Spencer Rattler or whatever. And so there must be something to them. And then go look at the teams that score points and go look at where their quarterbacks rank, right? He, in a lot of these efficiency metrics, he was in territory that a Jets quarterback hasn't been in since like 2015 Ryan Fitzpatrick. You have to go way back. I also, a really good QB stat. How about this one? 32 points without a possession starting on the plus side of the field. 3 total touchdowns, no turnovers, only 1 sack taken, and it was on a very quick pressure. It was on a pressure under 2 seconds, a handful of tight window throws. Don't remember a bad throw. 3rd down, he was nails. And really, what Fields, the most impressive thing I thought was how effortlessly he maneuvered within the pocket. Like just kind of having that sense of just slipping and sliding within the pocket, kind of letting his protection help him out and keeping his eyes downfield. I mean, that was a lot of the third downs they picked up. It wasn't a lot of just set your feet and throw. He was really good back there in the pocket. So look, I mean, do I expect every single game he's right now he has the highest PFF grade as a passer in the NFL. Do I think he'll be there at the end of the year? No, but there's clearly some chops here. Like people say he's a running back, and it's like, bro, like articulate yourself better. You don't know enough words then. You like that's such a weak argument. He's a running back. Like he's Tim Tebow, who completed 47% of his passes. He's not a running back. He's at worst a low-end starter bridge quarterback. He could clearly throw the ball a little bit. I would say the only inaccurate throw I remember was for his first completion to Garrett. He actually threw it way inside on the out route, and Garrett made an acrobatic catch to make it. Oh, not I can't remember when the post to Garrett was right on the money. Love to see it. So I love the Jets taking the training wheels off and just saying, Justin Fields, hey, go be our quarterback. How about that? Obviously, you're going to lean into his legs. So you love to see it. My second positive takeaway is Tanner Engstrand good? Offensive coordinators, like quarterbacks, have a very key stat, and that's points. His unit scored enough points to win. It was very simple. He saw two weaknesses in the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It was runs to the left B and C gap behind Olu and Simpson. Breece Hall, I didn't even see Breece Hall take a handoff to the right when I rewatched the offense. I didn't see a handoff to the right side. So that's just what they were doing, and it worked. 5.7 yards a carry for Breece. And then it was just Garrett Wilson versus any Pitt corner, right? Garrett Wilson had more than 3 times as many catches as any other Jet. So that's all they were going to do. It's Breece on the left B gap, Fields' legs, Garrett Wilson versus anyone. And it worked to the tune of 32 points. And I think there's actually there's more levels to this offense. I'm curious to see. I still think just giving Arian Smith a shot to add an element of speed, and I think some horizontal game. They didn't do any jet sweeps or pop passes or reverses, so there could be some wrinkles there in terms of deep shots or horizontal action to kind of open up your spacing a little bit. Tanner Engstrand's coming from Detroit, so there's going to be a trick play in there every now and then. But it was pretty cool just to see this is what we're going to run, and you kind of know it, but we're just going to be better than you at it. Our offensive line is just going to be too good. You're not going to stop it. Breece Hall's going to be too good. You can't cover Garrett Wilson. And the thing we'll talk about, my next point, is the whole wide receiver 2 thing. I have to pull up my wide receiver 2 scripts because their early results are in. But people say, oh, they're going to stack the box and defend the run and double team Garrett Wilson. It's kind of hard to do both of those things, though. Can you put 2 defenders on Garrett Wilson and then stack the box and account for a running quarterback? Can you do all those things? I mean, that sounds like it's tough to do. The math is not really mathing on that. And you can already see how having the threat of a mobile quarterback does things to stress the defense and help your run game, help your running back in ways that don't show up on the stat sheet, which is why Justin Fields, in his last season that he played the most games in, closest to a full season, his running back 1 led the NFL in yards per attempt. It wasn't Adrian Peterson or Barry Sanders, and he wasn't running behind the Eagles' offensive line. But when you have that constant, where is it going to be, Fields or the running back action, it's very conducive to having an effective running game. So I like that. Added Tanner Engstrand. Only thing I didn't like was the shotgun short yardage. It's really about it. But yeah, there's more. I mean, we really only saw such a limited. That's really all they did. We didn't really see a lot of screen game. We didn't see any horizontal game or any deep shots besides that one. So I liked what Tanner Engstrand did, man. It saw some things that were vulnerable, that he felt like he had an advantage, and he pressed that button over and over again. Number 3, my third positive takeaway on Cope Monday is RB1 and wide receiver 2. We had some fake news over the summer. Braylon Allen is really our RB1. Look, man, Braylon Allen, I'm glad he's on the team. He seems like a solid short yardage back. He is definitely highlighted in my stock up, stock down video in terms of pass pro. He came ready to pick up. The running backs came ready to pick up some blitzes. And Braylon Allen does that. He runs hard in short yardage. But Breece Hall is in a different stratosphere of talent than Braylon Allen. It's not even a discussion. Braylon Allen had 1.5 yards per carry this game, bringing his career average to 3.5. Breece Hall, 5.7. He had 145 scrimmage yards and averaged 7 yards per touch. Even that play where he was going to be tackled for a loss of 3 turns it into a gain of 4. That's a game change. It's a huge shift. And the offense in general really did an awesome job staying out of negative plays, because that's what this offense needs to do. Like they constantly found themselves, every third down was like a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, right? Where there's still, and the benefit of that is there's still a threat of a run. Because now when you get the ball at the freaking 38-yard line to start, you get one first down, you're near midfield. All right, well, now it's 3rd and 4. You could run the ball. 4th and 1, QB sneak, right? So they did a really good job of avoiding negatives in terms of sacks, like penalties. There wasn't any holding penalties. There was a delay game, but there wasn't any false. So there was no false starts and no offensive holdings. When is the last time a Jets offensive line has gone a game without a false start or an offensive holding? Yeah, I seriously want to know the answer to that. So yeah, Breece Hall, when he has his fastball, I'm gonna tell you this: when Breece Hall has his fastball, he is the best playmaker on the Jets. Are you saying he's better? Yes. Everyone else is a playmaker. Breece Hall, when he's at his best, is a better running back than Garrett Wilson as a wide receiver. Now, I would rank Garrett Wilson as is obviously more important because it's a premium position and Garrett Wilson is more consistent. But when Breece Hall's at his best, he ranks higher among running backs than Garrett Wilson does among wide receivers. He is an awesome playmaker. And it was good to see him in shape and ready to go. He's RB1. I mean, if he was going to be himself and healthy, that was never really a question between him, respectively, and Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen. Now, wide receiver 2, my favorite talking point. I got to get my wide receiver 2 script back. You guys heard this many times. Okay. The Jets have a suboptimal wide receiver room outside of Garrett Wilson. It should be addressed at the trade deadline if they're contenders, or at the very least next year's draft if they're not. Okay. And it will be a limiting factor to the offense, and there will be some games where it causes it to be a frustrating watch. However, having a suboptimal wide receiver 2 in a vacuum is never has been, not one time in NFL history, an excuse not to have a functional offense, given that you have a quarterback who is capable, an offensive coordinator who's capable, an offensive line who's good enough, a running game, and a wide receiver 1. The Jets had those things, and they scored 32 damn points, even though they didn't have to sign Amari Cooper so he could retire 10 days later, or the hologram of Gabe Davis. Wide receiver 2 is a lie the government tells you to keep you fat and complacent. And let's give some credit to the role players, man. They caught everything that was thrown to them. But in all seriousness, yeah, there was definitely like noticeably a lack of the ability to separate besides Garrett. Again, a lot of these guys, they're tough. Tyler Johnson was a fun watch. Rewatching this game, Tyler Johnson he was critical to their offense. They use him like a move tight end. It's such a cool thing to see a Jets offense sign a player for like $1 million and actually have a role that isn't a sexy role, but it was impactful. But yeah, man, it's a bunch of Jags besides Garrett for sure. And there's going to be some games where it's like, damn, we really, another defense is going to be able to really scheme up well, or have a shutdown corner on Garrett, whatever the case may be. And it's going to limit the offense. But it is not an excuse to not have a functioning offense. But we have Exhibit A, 32 points without a good wide receiver 2, because you had all those things that are more important. Right? Now, number 4 of the Cope Monday talking points. I actually thought the defensive front in the run game, the run defense was actually pretty good. The defense got smoked because of the back 7, mainly really the secondary. And to be honest, Sherwood did not look like a $15 million linebacker in that game. Quincy, I thought, was good besides his dumbass penalty, but Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Quinn Williams combined for 12 pressures and 3 sacks. Briggs and Phillips really good against the run game. The Steelers had 53 rushing yards on 2.7 yards per carry. So we'll check in around the bye week on how rushing for 50 yards a game and having a 5-yard average depth of target and taking 4 sacks a game. We'll check in on how that's working for Pittsburgh. But it was enough to beat the Jets because their secondary was just atrocious. But I thought the defensive line played pretty well. Will McDonald might lead the damn league in sacks, It was cool to see Jermaine looking healthy. I thought Fontenot played a very good game against Jermaine, to be honest, but it was good to see Jermaine out there with a good snap count and looking healthy. Quinn Williams looks about 15 pounds lighter, and he looks like he's coming for people's souls. Quinn Williams is the best player on the field. So yeah, defensive front is cool. Look pretty good. And I think those late additions of Phillips and Briggs are going to, I mean, already it's like what they give up a couple 6-round picks. So hell yeah. And finally, number 5, bookend tackles. So if you have Twitter, go on to Twitter and just type in Membu, and you can see clips of, I mean, it was a masterclass by Armand Membu. Now it is football, and he's good at that, so we kind of knew that was coming. But was it going to come this soon against TJ Watt? I actually do think Membu is going to match up better against power right away. I think it's those super like who's the guy Burns who was giving him trouble against the Giants. I think that's more of his where he takes his rookie moments, because watching him in Mizzou, like, people did not go through his chest. People did not win through Armand Membu's chest, and they didn't win around his right shoulder. Armand Membu lost pass rush reps one way in college: a little bit of an overset and getting beat across his face or leading over his toes a little bit. It's the only way he lost reps. So TJ Watt's a strong guy, but like, dude, Armand Membu is like 340 pounds. he's people did not put him on skates in college. They just didn't. He played in a conference called the SEC. So you love to see it, man. And Membu has some nasty to him. There was a couple blocks against TJ Watt where like he's kind of taking him out of the play and then torques him to the ground and just falls on him. Like, yes, well, you don't need to just have the play be over and then just that kind of push. Like he torques the guy to the ground and then just kind of, it's legal, and he just falls on him, just sits on him. Like, yeah, 300 pounds on your sternum. Now get up, breathing heavy. I love that from Membu. He got 2 tackles who are a combined 43 years old. Combined, they played 52 pass rush snaps. They allowed 1 sack and 2 pressures combined. Membu didn't allow any. Membu allowed no pressures, no sacks, no QB hits. He was the single highest graded offensive tackle in the NFL, not just rookies, offensive tackle in the NFL. Had a great run blocking grade. There was 2 misses I saw in the run game. One of them was kind of awesome. He missed, like him and Beck both kind of messed up, but then like scrambled and both picked up each other's assignments. I'm guessing, unless it was a trick and they wanted to make it look like that, but that was pretty cool. And Membu did a really good job. Like, they were running to the left side, so his job was just to like steal off the backside, and he made light work of, what is it, 50? I think it's Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin. He made some light work of that dude all day long. And then getting to the second level, like Membu, it was as good as a rookie offensive tackle could look. I don't know. Maybe he'll turn into a pumpkin next week, but he and Olu passed the sniff test, man. It passes the sniff test of some bookend tackle action. And so he had 26 pass rush reps. Membu, I counted, there were 11 that he had help. So he had help on 11, on almost half. They did give him some help quite frequently on TJ Watt, with some tight ends. Like Rucker all the blocking was good, man. Or backs going over there, mostly tight ends. Even Tyler Johnson cracking down, like chipping and then going on crossers. So they made it a point to get to multiple hands on TJ Watt on a lot of these downs. But that means on 15 of the pass rush reps, he was not getting help. And on 12 of those 15, it was Watt one-on-one. So he had a dozen, just slap, bump, go, as we say in jiu-jitsu, man. Yeah, he had a dozen just slap, bump, go with TJ Watt. And he didn't give up anything. Now it helps to have a mobile quarterback because there were some times where Fields kind of slips away or whatever, but that's a great first outing. So those are the 5 positive takeaways after getting to rewatch bits and pieces of this game. Still have to completely do that, but I'll do a full stock up, stock down, and we'll get back into that tomorrow. How really bad were some of these guys? It was. Stevens is as bad as you think, man. Maybe even worse. But we'll do positives on this Monday. Membu looked like an absolute beast. By the way, just say, hey, it's just 1 week. It is just 1 week, but I know a lot of folks wanted that Tyler Warren Ariante Ursary combination, which Tyler Warren was a nice security blanket. I think he had over 70 yards, looked pretty damn good. I think he'll be a good one. Ariante Ursary was the single lowest graded offensive lineman in the entire NFL in week 1, and he almost got his quarterback killed. And both he and Warren are 2 full years older than Membu and Taylor at their same position. So far, I like the way the Jets went in the first 2 rounds, getting premium positions before not, unless you have a really good reason to do the inverse. Justin looked good. Yeah, man, Justin looked really good. The offense looked very good. Hackett would have had Fields looking like Zach Wilson. Yeah, Hackett is one of the worst. Yeah, Hackett's Hackett. That Fields to Wilson was pretty awesome. Yeah, I thought it was he did a really good job getting a lot of air under it because there's so much. He's so open. Just put a lot of air under it and give your receiver time to track it and get under it. You don't have to make it like a perfect missile. So that was very well done. BJF, what do you think the issue was in the secondary? Was the guys not hitting their spots, confusion, or was it play call? Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, so the first one goes to Skoranek, which it was so frustrating rewatching that defense because a lot of play I thought the defensive front played well, and Sauce was shut out. Shut out. But the first one, Skoranek, Michael Carter's on him. Michael Carter goes to pass him off, and there's no one there. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I guess only the coaches know, or maybe somebody who knows better about defenses can make a better guess than me. But suffice it to say, somebody was supposed to be there because you kind of see him doing that motion when you're passing off a receiver, and he just passes it off to no one, and it's a wide open touchdown. And it's Ben Skoranek, who, if you don't know Ben Skoranek, he's like a meme because he's a blocking receiver. So at that point, it's like, dude, just go man on man, just go man. Just Michael Carter, just guard Ben Skoranek and take your chances. Yeah, it was zone. It was miscommunications in zone. That was one touchdown. And then this in late in the second half, Rodgers just played a game called Find Number 21. Find number 21. Rodgers is a smart guy. He knew. And then on the touchdown that was right after the Gibson fumble, Rodgers, they literally were just putting people in motion to get the Jets to tell that they were in man. So Sauce would travel over to DK and he would just find the guy that Stevens was on and target him. And on that touchdown where they took the lead, dude, it was horrific. So the guy is running, I think he just runs like a corner route, and the guy's just running straight, and Stevens just like gets flat-footed and just almost like he's predicting the guy to do a curl route. But if you just watch Stevens, it looked like he got faked out by a double move. There was no double move. Like he just glitched and froze and stood flat-footed, and the guy ran right by him wide open. So those two were frustrating, man. So I think there were some miscommunications when they were in zone, which I think Coach Glenn pretty much said that was an issue. And then Stevens just ain't good. It's been, over 20, it's been like what, 30 hours. Stevens, I feel worse about his performance after rewatching that game. Stevens was atrocious. He is the second coming of Tyrod Taylor. Dude, if he can be, what was it, 2015 Tyrod? Respect Tyrod. Let's see. When was Tyrod? 2015 Tyrod Taylor. 64% completions, 20 touchdowns to 6 picks. And he ran for 560 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yeah. If you took 2015 Tyrod Taylor and you made him, 50 pounds, whatever, heavier, that's Tyrod's actually a pretty solid guy, but he seems brittle. Then, yeah, I would take that. That'd be the best Jets season in a long time by a quarterback. Miami got blown out. Yeah, Miami is dog water. Dude, they might be having the number 1 pick. Yeah, they look horrible. I really wish we played someone else. And I wish we played the Steelers when Aaron Rodgers had like rigor mortis in December. Because you know that like week 1, 70-degree weather, angry ex-girlfriend motivation. You know he was gonna, and it's the Jets. So of course that's how it would go. But why is this game not a referendum on the Steelers saying, "Hey, look at this now, look, it's 1 game, so okay, fine, but if we're all going by 1 game, if 1 game is the only game that's ever happened or ever will happen, why isn't it, hey, the Steelers, this quarterback played good, but he's 25 years old and you let him go?" Now, would I say that? No, because that's dumb and it's 1 game and we'll see how it happens. And Justin Fields played better in this game than honestly I thought he would ever play as a Jet, to be quite honest. So I was like, holy shit, what is going on here? Is this real? But that's just how the narratives are going to go until the Jets make the damn playoffs, and you got to deal with it. Yeah, Justin Fields is trying his best to protect the ball. He had 1 turnover-worthy play, which is the one that was deflected and almost intercepted by the fat guy. Yeah, yeah. They did a very good job of avoiding negative plays as an offense. And now they play the Buffalo Bills, and it's tough because I actually think the Jets are. I think the Jets have an opportunity the way they're built. Now nobody is Lamar and Derrick Henry, but you know Justin Fields and Breece Hall can strategically, schematically try and do some of the things that the Ravens did, and I think the Jets will be able to move the ball on the Bills defense. But at the same time, it's like I don't know how I have any confidence in the Jets defense being able to stop the Bills offense after that showing. So we'll kind of see how that goes. The O-line let Fields cook. Yeah, let me find you guys another image that you will love. If I can find it. Look at this. Let me put this on my screen. This is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. You guys ready? The StreamYard makes you click 1,000 times to do anything. How about that? Look at that pocket. Look at it. Look at Olu and Simpson mugging this guy. Look at Membu. He's telling TJ Watt, he's like, they wanted to draft the 46-year-old tight end at a Penn State. They wanted to draft Hunter Henry over me. And look at me shutting you down. They said Will Campbell was OT1, even though he is Confederate Evan Neal. Bam, right in your ribs. Yeah. I have a Raiders fan coworker who is inconsolable that his team drafted a running back over Arma Membu. He trusted his own line. Well, that is something that I think is hard to quantify, right? Because you kind of see the combination of like, for example, as like I think Fields was an example of this in Chicago. Caleb Williams was an example of this last year as well, where it's like, yes, these quarterbacks are kind of not performing well or not having great sack avoidance or pocket presence, but there's also that give and take of like the how do you measure when you keep getting hit and every time you drop back you can't trust your protection? Like that's I think there's I mean, obviously the most extreme example of that is like Derek Carr's brother, where it's like he literally just seemed shell shocked, right? And I think that's part of having good pass protection. That's goes beyond just things that you could measure with stats. JJ McCarthy threw a pick six. Maybe Fields found his play caller. Yeah, play calling is important. I would no argument there. Should we put it back up? Let's just leave it there. Let's leave this here the whole time. We can look at this instead of my face. This is much better to look at. The last throw was too slow. Well, Fields has never had the quickest release. I don't think he's going to. That's just kind of the way he throws. So that's just going to be part of it. Even without ABT, I know. And then imagine with ABT. Damn it. Fields stepping up into the pocket and either throwing on a nice pocket or throw to run was awesome. Yeah, I thought he did a really good job of kind of hovering the line of scrimmage and really he was extending the play to throw. A lot of his rush yards he had on those read options, the designed runs, but there wasn't a lot of just pull it down and scramble. My dad just said Justin Fields doesn't look like a deep ball passer just yet. Okay. Yeah, he's not Dan Marino as a deep ball passer, but I think he attempted one deep one so far as a Jet, and it was a good one. Eddie says no wide receiver two is needed. So I look, it's a need in terms of it's. I wish we had a better one. I hope Arian Smith could develop into one sooner rather than later. It's something that if I'm looking ahead to the next year or the future needs of the team, wide receiver is definitely on the list. The second wide receiver besides Garrett Wilson. Even if you're gonna be a run heavy offense, you could still have multiple good receivers. But the point that I made a billion times is that just because you don't have a good wide receiver two doesn't mean your offense has to suck. Because Fields could have decided to suck and there would have been excuses. Well, that guy wasn't open and it was TJ Watt and Tyler Johnson was good and the Jets, and this is why we don't have a defensive coach. But Justin Fields just decided to say, you know what, I'm actually just going to be good, which was nice. Right? Because on a lot of those throws, it's like, oh, you could freeze frame it and you'll be like, well, nobody's open. And it's like, well, if you're willing to make some damn good throws, they're open. And if you have guys who can make some catches in traffic, like the Jets role players did, they're open. So no, you don't need a wide receiver two to have a functioning offense. You probably need a good one if you want to have an elite offense. Obviously, you need a lot of stuff to have an elite offense. But like what's the minimum stuff you need for a competent offense? I don't think a really good second receiver is part of that. If he stays healthy, Hall will have a monster year. Yeah, Hall. Here's what Breece Hall did. Breece Hall looked at his contract and he looked at the year 2026 and he saw that there was no money in there. And then he was like, I don't want to get a regular job. That's why Brees Hall looks in great shape, man. He likes money, and that's okay. I hope he is highly paid by someone next year because that means he had a great year for the Jets. Let Brees Hall have a great year, and then we can worry about the business of it at the end of the season. Yeah, bro. If we were one Gabe Davis away, we could have won. We could have been Super Bowl contenders, man. But Darren Muji being cheap. Yeah, Briggs is good. Briggs is just a solid rotational one tech. Just pretend Briggs was a seventh. Just pretend Briggs was a 6th round draft pick. That's how I look at him. Oh, we got some Membu film on the Jets YouTube webs. Nice. Got to get rid of Gibson. Yeah, I mean, well, it's going to be interesting because you know Aaron Aaron Glenn kind of put himself on the spot because he said if you're going to cause us to lose football games, you're not going to be on the field with us. And we can argue like certain guys, it wasn't his fault, this or that. It's like, dude, if you I don't know how to tell you that that clearly cost the Jets the game. In no uncertain terms, that clearly cost the Jets the game. So if I don't know if Gibson is still returning kicks next week, then how do you take what Aaron Glenn is saying seriously? I mean, dude, I don't want to say like, oh, if Gibson is just returning kicks, then that means Aaron Glenn is like a bad hire or anything or anything like that. By no means. But if you want an early sign that he is different than Robert Saleh, um, Gibson cannot. Now, Stevens, honestly, to me, Stevens, Tony Adams, Gibson, like I'm good. I'm good with all that. I don't expect all three of those things to happen. And Stevens, they're like we could say money shouldn't matter. And Parcells had a quote about how much money you make. I get all that. They're not going to bench a corner they gave $25 million guaranteed to after one bad game. They're just not. So okay, that's how it goes. It sucks. That's why I don't like it's but who are they competing with for that contract is my question, you know? It's like, really? Someone else is going to give them 20, whatever. But we'll see how it goes. But you could change a punt returner for a guy on the vet minimum. You could change that. Um, it doesn't even mean that Pritchard is amazing. It's like, dude, like let's think about how low the bar is. Gibson has 11 fumbles in 37 games as a kick returner. It's crazy. Like if you were carpooling with someone to work and you had driven with them 37 times and 11 times they got into an accident. Like, I mean, what are we doing? It's nuts. Field is not Zach Wilson. Well, yeah, I think we definitely knew that. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills win. Did you see the homeless person they let kick their final field goal? I'm like, what kind of nonsense is this, man? So the Jets choke it away. Then you see that the Patriots are completely fraudulent. I can't people are predicting them to win like 10 games. Drake May is like Mitch Trubisky with a better PR team. And then you see the Dolphins who are like about to completely implode. I think the Dolphins might have a mid-season coach and GM firing. And you're like, okay. And you're like, you know what? The Bills just need to lose to the Ravens. And then the whole division is 0-1. And you're good to go. And the Bills were down by like 15. They make the craziest comeback. Derrick Henry's fumbling. There's like a ricochet deflected touchdown on fourth down, and then also John Harbaugh being carried. John Harbaugh has been overrated for so long, dude. He won a Super Bowl. That's great. He's being Lamar and Josh Allen are carrying two completely fraudulent coaching staffs. Every year the Bills draft 17 players on defense and they still can't stop anybody. And Lamar and Josh Allen is going to have to score 40 points in a playoff game for them to try to make the Super Bowl every year. It's insane. You have a defensive minded head coach. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Um, but when they punted that ball back to Josh Allen, I'm like, you're forfeiting. You know that, right? You are forfeiting the game when you do that. Go for it. Well, if you'll go for it and you don't make it, the game's over. If you punt the ball back to Allen, you lose, man. You let Lamar Jackson gain 3 yards. That was nutty. Then they drive down the field, and then they bring a home like just a like Frank Gallagher looking guy out of a crypt, and he makes the field goal. I'm like, what is it? What? So that was completely ruined. We didn't even get our hate watch at the end of the night. It's terrible. Why is Gibson still on the team if he stinks? Well, um, we'll see if he is, man, because the Jets brought up Tyler Johnson officially to the active roster. So that means so it's not a practice day elevation like they did week one. So there's going to have to be a corresponding move. Maybe it's Kane and Nwangwu's injury, and maybe he's going to be on the short-term IR, and maybe it's that. Maybe it's Alan Lazard is going to be cut. So we'll see. We should maybe we'll get word of that tomorrow because they'll be at practice. Or maybe Gibson is just inactive for a week, but then who else is returning punts? I don't know if I want Arian Smith returning punts. Like Arian Smith developing as a receiver, we'll see. And if Arian Smith has like a dropped pass, like that sucks, but you can live with it. I just don't know if you want his hands back there just yet either. Kick returns, sure, because even if but just I don't know. Arian Smith back there as the punt guy. Like, who I appreciated as a punt returner was Jeremy Curley, because he would just catch it. He would go up 8 yards and out of bounds, and he would never muff it, and he would never take a fair catch inside his own 5. Like, he was just solid. I really appreciate just a high floor in my punt returner. So yeah, we'll see, man, if Gibson is still retaining his primary job. Because again, if you're Glenn, if you say if you're going to cause us to lose games, you won't be on the field with us. It's like, all right, well now you kind of have to do the thing, otherwise your words are hollow, right? I don't know. I feel bad beating up on Gibson, but it's like it just seems like such an easy fix to do. Like, what are we talking about? Because he was in an interview in the locker room and it seemed like he was like holding back tears. So I kind of felt bad, but it's like, bro, it's not even like we hate him or are mad at him. It's like the people in charge don't. What is he supposed to do? Say no, don't let me be the kick returner. I'm gonna fumble. Like, it's not even on the player anymore. If it happens again, it's not on the player anymore. It's on the people putting him out there. Can they put Stevens at safety and then I think he's just I think he's a corner. I know there was that stuff like when they signed him, like, oh, I'll make him a safety. I'm like, that's worse because you could have just signed like Javon Holland for like 10% more of his money. There were good starting safeties that went for like 10 million, like Jordan Reed. So it was just a head scratcher. Like, I don't know, they were bored. They were like, guys, let's sign a corner. Is he good? No, he's horrible. He's like actually historically bad. But could be fun. Like if we fix him, it could be fun. That's fine, but you don't spend that much money to do that. Like if you want to buy an old car to fix up, you don't spend 35 grand on that. Unless it's a classic and you have that kind of money, but realistically, probably shouldn't do that. But imagine if Brandon Stevens just has like a prime Revis performance against the Bills. Gibson walk-off touchdown against Buffalo again. Back into our good graces. Would you make this deal? Would you make the deal that Gibson is going to get a walk-off punt return touchdown against the Bills, guaranteed victory in week 2, but he has to be the returner the rest of the year? Would you make that deal? Joe P. Super Chat, thanks, man. Even a loss, they gave me more optimism than I've had in a while. Let's give the Bills hell, get the win, and then it's on. I appreciate all you do for fans. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the way I'm looking at Herman Edwards always said you break the year up into quarters, right? And that was when there were 16 games, so the math doesn't jive quite as well. But you're looking at these first 4 games. I try not to look any further than that. And I think you really want to try and go 2-2. Yeah, I think getting that win against the Steelers would have gone a long way but now 3-1, nobody expected that. 1-3, let's be honest, dude. You're 1-3, you're kind of done in the NFL. You're kind of done. But if you can go 2-2, so even if you lose to Buffalo, like I'm not writing off that they could beat the Bills because they have given the Bills 3 straight competitive games at home the last 3 years. It's gone very, very similar. The Jets and Bills play very close in September, October at MetLife, and then the Bills have won handedly in Buffalo down the stretch. That's kind of how it's gone the last 3-4 years. So, yeah, there's a chance, right? I mean, we have proof of concept that they were, heavy underdogs and almost won and did win a couple times with Zach Wilson. But even if you lose to the Bills, okay, you got to you got to sweep the Florida teams. And then you have a really bad Cowboy defense there. Yeah, I mean, there'll be some opportunities. Like, you look at these defenses we're playing: Miami, Dallas. Tampa's a talented defense, but I think they gave up quite a bit of points to the 20 points to the Falcons. They had a nice comeback, but Michael Penix, threw for 300 yards. Bijan Robinson had 125 scrimmage yards. So I don't know. Like, yeah, if you start off really poorly and then you're finishing strong, like it'll be less crappy than most years like that because, like, okay, if Fields is playing really well, then you're optimistic about quarterback and the coaching. So there's a little bit of that, but you still just want to be alive, man. It's just so much worse when you're like mathematically toast early. And if you're 1-3, it's really hard to crawl out of that hole. Like good teams find a way to not be 1-3. They just do. The Steelers won't be 1-3 because they found a way to, although like, my God, come on, man. Like and people are saying like, oh, it's same old Jets. Like, no, it's not same old Jets because you actually had offensive coaching staff and like good quarterback play and real offense. But the way it's always like, oh, this is the first team in NFL history where there was 82.3 thousand people in attendance, and they had at least 400 yards of scrimmage, and it was 62 degrees, and they didn't waste any penalties, and they still lost. Or like they didn't even punt in the first half. They didn't punt in a half. The Jets had a game where Zach Wilson was the quarterback against the New York Giants, where they punted 11 times. So you don't punt everyone. That was what was same old Jetsy about it, because and it's like the bounce pass to DK Metcalf, and a guy kicks a field goal from like 1,000 yards, and then you drop an easy interception. Aaron Rodgers is trying to throw the game right to you, and you can't do it. So that was what it was same old Jetsy about it. So it was annoying. Yeah. It was very annoying. Who will be the spy on Allen? I mean, Sherwood is probably the guy for the gig if you want to go that route, but I don't know if you need a full-time spy. Call up Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh had a decent, some decent days against Josh Allen for all his other flaws. Ask Coach Saleh what the plan should be. We'll start 0-3. Well, then that would really suck, man. I hope that that's not the case. I really hope that's not, that's what kind of makes this one sting as you're looking at the next couple games. Like if we played the Panthers next, it wouldn't suck as much. You're talking about the film Mary by Tim Boyle, yeah. Feels like 10 years ago. Yeah, I would guess Sherwood if you want to do a spy. The Jets actually had Will McDonald do some spying last year early on, but I think he's just too good of a pass rusher at this point. You want him. You want him to rush the passer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of good positive takeaways though. I mean, dude, Joe Timmons a guard. I don't care. He's guardy. Joe Timmons a guard. Joe Timmons always been a guard. Just let him be a guard. Who cares? Guard center equally as important. He's a guard. But Joe Timmons, dude, he was every play. He was he was probably my besides Membu, just because he was a rookie. I already knew Timmons was pretty good. Timmons after every play was fired up, man. Like those run plays, he's like first down, fist bumping. Timmons a dude. I love Joe Timmons. Darnold didn't have a good game yesterday. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to expect a regression from Sam, not completely to Jets or Panther days, but let's be honest, his circumstances in Minnesota last year were very QB friendly, and Sam runs hot and cold. From the Seahawks perspective, I know Sam's younger, but dude, to me, Geno is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I don't get that from there. How much older is Geno than Sam? Is it that significant? Oh, Geno's going to be 35 in October. Okay, so that is a big gap. But still, they're not going to keep Sam for like 8 years, so it won't even matter. It's going to be like a 2-year thing, and they're going to cut him out on that third year. So it's a medium-term solution. I would have kept Geno. Geno is better than Darnold. And you got the proof that he's been a solid starting QB for like 5 years now. Darnold had 1 year. I didn't get that move at all by Seattle. Zach Wilson's better than JJ McCarthy. Is it that bad? I've been watching it intermittently. They have 6 points, so that's not very good. 7 for 12, 56 yards, and a pick. That is a pretty Zach Wilson-y stat line. And he does have Kevin O'Connell and excuse me, Justin Jefferson and, Jordan Addison and all that crew, so we'll see. It's his first start though, right? Well, he didn't play at all last year, so 0-2 to start the season. I mean, yeah, they'll probably be like a touchdown home underdog to Buffalo, right? I think they're gonna have to they're just gonna have to multiple every time they've beaten Josh Allen. I think they've beaten him 3 times in his career. They've won the turnover margin by like more than one. There's those games where he just gets, and he hasn't had those as much since Brady's been the OC, as opposed to I don't even remember who it was in between Dable and Brady, but yeah, Allen is not as reckless as he was, so it kind of limits that. Mets, yeah, I feel like it pull off the Buffalo win. I mean, you're a touchdown underdog. This isn't. I remember there was a game. I think it was the Sam Darnold ghost year where the Jets played in Baltimore in Lamar's first MVP year, I believe, and they were like 14 and a half point underdogs. So, and the Jets actually they kept that competitive for like a quarter and a half. To their credit, I think that was like a Brashad Perryman legacy game or something. It's not bad time if we lose to Buffalo. Yeah, just because the seat like it's not panic time. It's just I think we all hope that they're in the mix, that they're in the mix when it's, Thanksgiving time and they start to show the graphics and it's like Jets are in the hunt at 5-6 or whatever. Like that's I think a lot of us that's all we're asking for, man. And it's a pretty low bar. And if they don't at least clear that, it's just going to be hard to be optimistic about other stuff because if the other stuff is really that, like if you're coaching and your quarterback and like people will say like I don't care about wins and losses as long as Fields looks good and the old line looks good and our coaching is good and everyone stays healthy. It's like yeah, but if those things happen, you're going to be at least a 500 team, right? It's like oh, coaching was awesome. Those rookies really showed out. The offensive line was great. Fields took major strides, but we were 3-14. Like that's not real, right? So there has to be a minimum threshold of wins. Like at least six or like at least six, dude. If you win 5 games, you're trash. We won 5 games last year. We were trash. I mean, I would say seven. I would say seven to, but will Lazard be activated? I hope not. Coach Glenn said that he just wanted to get him time to catch up with the like what was Lazard going to bring to our offense that was missing on Sunday? A drop, a penalty. No receivers had a drop or committed a penalty, so I don't need to add his antics into the mix. Our kicker is also an issue. Yeah, Nick Folk didn't look great. God, that kicker they have in Pittsburgh is insane. It's like a whole weapon. Like, how much is a guy like that worth? That's so underpaid. If you have a kicker who I was looking up his stats. He literally doesn't miss ever, and he can make one from 65 if you need him to, and you're confident in that. Dude, I would pay like that's like a $20 million player. Dead serious. If you have of that level, like 15 million plus level player. Could be like a 2-game swing if you have that guy versus a replacement level kicker. What other players that you pay 15 million? Like you pay like an off-ball linebacker 15 million. Are they worth 2 games? Probably not. Just top 10 players can play with anyone in the league. The problem is the other 43. I mean, I don't know if I would put it exactly like that, but I would agree with you that there is a the middle part of the roster, right? The players like 10 through 25 has to be replenished. And that's just a part of not being able to develop mid-round picks for many years. And obviously the trading of 2 second-round picks for Rodgers, the 3rd-round pick for Reddick, the 3rd-round pick for Devontae Adams, Corley just being a waste of a pick who's not even on your team anymore. So that's right there is 5 day 2 picks. Like imagine if you just got decent, if you had 5 day 2 picks, you can get decent return on investment of. Like there's all your holes. Name me. Can you name all the holes on this roster that couldn't be fixed with 5 day 2 picks? Like, let's assume that Fields is going to be solid. All right. Wide receiver 2, boom. Safety, boom. Maybe another safety, an edge. What else? One more for whatever you want. There you go. Ooh, Caleb Williams just does dumb stuff sometimes. Caleb Williams is the Zach Wilson of Patrick Mahomes. He is the love child of Zach Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. On any given play, you never know which one he's going to be. That 60-yard, dude, that was the most insane kick I've ever seen. It was a no doubter. It looked like an extra point. It would have been good from forever. Realistically, how long does the playoff drought last? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if they win on Sunday. Hopefully not much longer. We'll win at least 7 this year. I feel like we win 9. 9 would be awesome because 9 means you're like a tiebreaker away from being the 7th seed. So 9 would be great. Sure miss DJ Reed on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, DJ Reed is definitely better than Stevens, but DJ Reed, let's also remember, number one, he was horrid in week 1 in Detroit. He was really bad for the Lions. Not as bad as Stevens, just still really bad. At the end of last year, before the Jets even had hired Muji and Glenn, DJ Reed said he was not coming back to the Jets. So it takes 2 to tango. So my qualm with the Jets isn't not re-signing Reed. It's just wasting $12 million on a player who you could have bring back Eccles, have him compete with JBC, Stiggers, AT Thomas. You guys all fight it out. Whoever wins will be better than Stevens and cheaper. I think that was a very common. I think did I knock this out when I was getting all crazy with my hands? That was a very common sentiment amongst Jet fans. You know, it's like, why did we sign this guy? Why is Gibson on the on this team, right? That's why I say like the Jets should just allow the fans like 2 to 3 decisions a year. Don't even give us the big stuff. Don't give us coach or GM or quarterback or the 1st round pick. But dude, if the whole fan base is like, please don't allow this guy to be our punt returner, maybe just listen. Like maybe there's probably a good reason for that. Like who has punt returner bias? Quarterback, it gets all emotional. But it's like punt returner, bro. We know. It's like, well, I've seen a bunch in practice. It's like, coach, no, trust me. We've been here longer. We know. We've seen things, coach, that you haven't seen. Oh, dude, it wasn't even that kick going in was not even a question. If you've been a Jet fan for longer than I'd say at least 5, 7 years, that kick going in was not even the question. I was just looking at how much time is left, how much timeouts do we have? I know this guy is banging this 70,000-yard field goal. That was already a guaranteed. Yeah. Just and again, just start with something small. Like just go up to John in like section 318 and be like, "Hey John, final receiver spot. Who should it go to?" And let him pick. And he'd say, "You know what? I like this kid. What's his name? Pritchard. I like this kid Pritchard." And be fine. And John would know, man. Let John cook. Yeah, that kick was gonna be, dude. Really, when I knew they were gonna lose, even the punt. Well, first of all, the punt return, I was like, okay, game is over. Then they were, and I'm like, they're gonna implode. It's gonna be a TJ Watt strip sack. They're gonna lose by 17. They don't. They go right back down the field, like bootleg touchdown jet celebration by Justin Fields. I'm like, holy shit, man. All right. Stevens drops that pick. I'm like, the football gods are not allowing the Jets. The football gods never allow the Jets when they give the Jets the game and the Jets don't want it, they never come back. It's like if you go to a restaurant and the people seat you whatever, and then they come back with your drinks and you're like, okay, take a sec with the menu, and they come back around like, okay, you're still looking, and then you say, oh yeah, just a couple more minutes, then they're gone for like a half hour. All right, it's one shot and then they're gone. That's how it is with the Jets. If the football gods say, here you go, Brandon Stevens, you want it, and he's like, no, it's done. You don't get to get it twice if you're the Jets. Just going out, yeah. Safety play was horrid, but I'll leave it there. Full stock up, stock down tomorrow. Um, Chad Pennington against the Colts. Well, yeah, but bro, I'm talking about how long has it been, man? um, See you guys tomorrow. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool.